Hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you still. It's funny though.
We don't know if there's a delay.
There's a delay with you today. There might. Let me see. Kyle, talk. Let's see if there's a delay with you.
What's up?
No, you're good this time. Interesting.
Very rarely am I.
Is it just video? Because
now it's better. I don't know. Now it's off again.
Go get me. Can you fill this up with ice water?
It might just be on my end. It may not be a problem for anybody else. We'll just have to roll with it. Because there's not much I can do to fix it.
Yeah, fine. How was your weekend?
Were you asking me or Kyle?
Yeah.
Mine was okay. I worked on my mother-in-law's car all weekend.
Oh.
So something I was on my to-do list for well over a year.
Yeah. You feel it?
Yeah, I corrected and coded it.
Oh, I probably should do that to my in-laws' vehicle too before they need me.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How are you?
Thanks, Cookie. Love you. Thanks. I won't see you before you go to school. This is you make your coffee, so I'm going to be on here with Sydney and Chris. Say hi. Say hi. Love you. Hey.
Vincent.
Good morning.
It's bright and early, and so now it's like it's dark. It's
Oh yeah, I get the delay now too. I didn't hear that earlier.
Yeah, it's being weird.
No, or is it my audio too? Because I feel like
It's doing both audio and you're talking.
And it's cutting out.
Delayed.
Shoot. Good.
Are you using earpods?
I can't do this without you.
Are you doing earpods or anything, or is it just?
Nope, it's just computer audio.
Oh, crap.
I can try turning my back on, maybe.
You can try real quick. Well,
is that
better?
Better?
No. I don't
Shoot. I don't know. The only thing I can do computer, but that's so weird.
It's like watching a movie that has a delay. It's kind of weird.
Gosh.
Well, I mean, you've had I've had problems in the past. Now you're having them. Great.
Yeah.
Good morning.
I don't know what causes it, but if you want to, I can keep Kyle busy if you want to restart your computer.
Okay. Right back, everybody.
All right.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll just say hello to everyone for a sec, and we can start getting people to throw in questions while we wait for Sid to. I think she got a new computer, so maybe it's fighting her. I don't know. Chris, you're the technology genius
Yeah.
here. I didn't know that this could happen, but
I don't know either. I mean, this is usually pretty simple, but I know issues happen. Could be a glitch with everything. Who knows?
Jamie,
That's funny.
Is this could be coming the Kyle's podcast today? I don't know. Hope not. That would be unfortunate because Sydney has a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So, how was your weekend, Chris? What actually? Tell me what shirt you're wearing. Anything special today?
Here, I can. I'm a little bit in the dark, but
okay.
I can show. I'm wearing my Air Force One shirt.
Yeah, is that this year's?
Yeah. It was. I have 6 of them, something like that, right? So it was easy to find one this morning. But no, while we're waiting for Sydney to say what you guys worked on, I could tell everybody I worked on my mother-in-law's Acura. Is it a TSX, I think, or TLX? That's what it is. So
what'd you do to it?
Really pretty blue. I did everything. Interior, single step paint correction. A real good single step. Coated it with Legend. Did the engine. So just freshened it up. It's 3 years old and hadn't been really detailed before. I mean, they take care of it, but let's see.
Is that any better?
I doubt my in-laws watch Bead Maker and Coffee, but if they did, maybe I'll do their vehicles. I'll say that because I know they're not watching.
So Sydney, try again. I don't know.
No.
This is weird.
Go to your phone.
No, because that'll look terrible. Let's see. Hold on.
Well, your light will still work.
Man.
Now you got you twice.
Right.
Oh.
I'm going to hide that one.
Is this any better?
It's way better.
Oh my gosh, this is my old computer. Okay, I'll shut down my new computer. Hold on, let me leave this one.
What browser are you using on your new computer?
Yeah, you sound way better.
Safari.
Okay. Well, that's...
Should I not have been? It just automatically. Yeah, Jamie, there's 2 of me. Isn't that amazing? But look how much worse the lighting is on this computer.
It's all right. It's better than before. Real quick, and then you guys get to your show because nobody's gonna like all this inside baseball. It does prefer Chrome.
Okay.
It prefers Chrome on a laptop.
Okay.
It doesn't like Safari on your laptop. So maybe that was it.
Okay. So I wonder if I can, let's see. So Kyle, did you already talk about your week or your week?
Nope, because there's so much that happened in the last week that I wanted to wait for that, but I'll start now. So
yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to give a rundown. So last week I was in Arizona with Keith DuPlessis and the team from PC Enterprises at a outdoor show. We were displaying the off-road line. It was a lot of fun. Good turnout, and we learned some valuable information about the off-road line and how we're going to display that to retailers and get that into their shops. We actually had some storefronts that we set up, so it was a really good. And then from there, Keith ended up leaving Arizona, flying out to, it wasn't New Jersey, it was like New York, right? And they met up for another trade show. And Rennie and Keith did, it was called Fast Motorsports. Is that correct? Do you know?
I always forget.
Yeah.
Go Fast. It's called Go Fast.
They gave a keynote speech and they Go Fast. That's right. And they looked like they had a great time there. And then Sydney met Bob in California, and they went to a event at one of our distributors at the polishing school in Sacramento. Actually, I guess it's San Rancho Cordova, right? Can Sydney hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Better?
I can hear her. Can you hear her?
I could hear you were a little faint though.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like you're.
It's almost like your microphone's turned down.
So they went and they did a demo at the event. Yeah, it says mic is low. There we go. Massachusetts. Go Fast Products. So what I'm saying is PNS had a very, very, very busy week in the last couple of weeks, especially Keith. He was our road warrior.
So Sydney, try it again.
Is that any better?
No. And I've got you cranked up all the way too.
That is so weird. So
yeah, we can barely hear what you're saying, but we can hear you.
is that any better?
No.
Is that any better?
I think you better go back to your other one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be right back.
Yeah, Sydney, remember the second Sydney was a little better on the old laptop. You're right, Jamie. Your mic needs coffee. All right. So we'll just live with this one.
That is so
Next
frustrating. How
Well,
funny
at
that
least
the brand new computer is like no good. I don't know. So I'm just gonna be darker.
It's all right.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me better
Oh,
now?
yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's
Way
so
better.
We
funny.
can hear you. We can see you.
All right, here's my coffee. Good morning, everybody.
And I almost forgot that Keith went and did a coding class on Friday also in Medford, Oregon. So he gets the award for craziest travel week this year.
Yeah. Keith was all over. I couldn't keep up. He was all over the place. He went to Medford. All right. So you
Massachusetts,
talked
Arizona.
about. Yep. So you talked about your events. So my dog is coming now because apparently it's just that type of morning. She's shuffling down here. So let's see. So I just got back late Saturday night from San Francisco / Sacramento. And so Saturday morning I flew in. Well, it was supposed to be super early, but the flight got delayed as per 2022. And so I did not get to San Francisco till about 10 a.m. And then Bob and I drove up to Sacramento. Actually, I'm not sure it's the up or down. I'm not really sure. We drove to Sacramento and attended the polishing school's annual car show. And so they had a car show open house and it was great. There was lots of really cool cars. And, for me, I always love going to distributors and checking out, it's kind of like going to different detail shops, right? It's like, they're all different. They all have their own flair. All of the employees that work at the polishing school are just awesome. They have a training facility. And then we got to do a live demo of Absolute. And gosh, we probably had 25 or 30 guys come back to watch, and it was really cool. So it was just a fun event. It was a fun, just one day, fly up, fly back, and, got to connect with detailers, and we just had a good time. So it was a lovely day, and that's what I did this weekend. Then yesterday was just reset and get ready for Bead Maker and coffee.
Yep, a lot going on.
Yeah.
Actually, Tuesday after I got home from Arizona, I did a class at 3D in Fontana.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great demo doing the inspiration line and getting to know a lot of new detailers. That's what I wanted to bring up. Man, there was like 17 men that were there. I guess some of them, they're all men. They're all over 18. Some of them were really young though. And I mean, really new detailers. Most of them have been detailing less than a couple years. And a few guys who've been in the game for a while, but it was I don't know if it's exciting to see how the industry is growing, but also concerning because it's like I really want to educate and help them, surpass where I was when I was that new. They're doing really well, but it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. That is awesome. So I did get to see something this weekend that I'm not going to show you guys, but I do want to give a little teaser. I got to see the new labels for quart bottles for Absolute. So for diluting into spray bottles. So those came in. So we'll be releasing those really soon, probably this week. Just wanted to give the warehouse time to get bottles labeled and everything for you guys. But I did get to see them and they look really cool. So I'm super excited about that.
I'll have to have Ian send me a couple so I can get started. I got some bottles of Absolute that I'm using for glass cleaner and pre-spray. And
I know.
That was one thing that blew me away with those guys. Most of them have never seen a rinseless wash, and they didn't understand the difference between a rinseless and a waterless wash.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was really fun to kind of blow their minds, because they're like, oh, I didn't know we could do this. And, answer their questions on when it's, really appropriate to rinseless wash and the limitations of it, but also how great it can be and the things you can do that it really surprised them. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. So that's what I'm going to say was my detail that week, because my guys were out working a lot, but using Absolute and really just teaching how to apply the ceramic coatings. I was just I was pleasantly surprised that all these men and some young men wanted to learn how to do this, because a lot of them aren't doing ceramic coatings. There was a lot of guys that were just washing and doing very basic details. So helping them understand that they can make a profit, and all of the work that goes into coating, all the preparation, was a lot of fun.
Yep. That's awesome. That's awesome. I know it's going to be hard to not talk about Absolute, right? Because even though we obviously went through the testing and we ran it through its paces, there's a lot of videos out on, YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. There's lots out there. And so it's been kind of fun to try some of the stuff that, we've seen out there. And I have to give credit to Jamie, the cleaner, because this weekend at my event, somebody was saying, what's the best way? They were asking about dilution and how to, what's the best way to dilute it for like the clay lube and, glass cleaner and all that kind of stuff. And so I actually thought that one of Jamie's videos was so great, where he took the distilled water, just a gallon jug, and put a capful in it and then shook it up. And that's like your pre-mixed, ready to go. And I thought that is so easy, rather than like mixing it every time you make a spray bottle. And so I actually shared that with the class and gave Jamie full credit. And I thought that was such a great idea. For me, I have it, I'm going to keep saying this because I love it. I obviously have it on tap in my control, but specifically for like glass cleaner and stuff, I did do the gallon and pre-mix it, because obviously distilled water is going to be better than the tap water that comes from my chemtrol. But I just love that idea. That's such a great idea, and it stores just fine. And so that's a fantastic idea.
That's funny you bring up Jamie, because I said I was going to go test what Absolute would do in a foam cannon last Bead Maker and Coffee, and I actually reported back to Jamie, and he tested and reported back to me, and we both put a lot of Absolute in a foam cannon. Now it did look pretty cool and it smelled really nice, but it didn't suds up. And it's that's the whole point of a rinseless wash. It's kind of a non-sudsing soap. And even though he used a lot of it, I just used a few ounces and a little bit of water, and I foamed the side of this RV up. And I got video. You can definitely see that there is some of that fizzy blue color in there, but it just wouldn't foam up. And so
well, and because too much, like the water, the volume of water that goes through a foam cannon, right, is just going to be too much. Too much. You'd have to mix it with so much, you'd go through so much Absolute.
I don't even know if it'll suds pure. Just because it just doesn't do that way.
Right.
And so the price would be a lot of money to use Absolute Pure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think just the IK12, the pump sprayer, if you really are worried about, pre-spraying a car and you want to do a lot at one time, I think the IK12 is the way to go. It works perfect for that. So.
Yep. Well, I reported back. It was a fail.
While you guys are on the subject, somebody brought up a question.
Cool. All right. Edward says, can you talk about the real differences between rinseless and waterless wash? Absolutely.
Yeah.
We get this question all the time.
And I think we're always going to get it because there's these two products in this space. Yeah. But the real difference between a rinseless is, and I don't even like spraying rinseless on. Like maybe to pre-treat, but I like using it in the bucket it's just like washing a car,
right?
Just not rinsing. And you're not leaving behind a residue when you dry. That was the point of the product, is to lift, to clean, to dry, but without washing with a power washer. And this is my definition. Let Sydney go after this, but waterless is more of a spray-on product where you're spraying and wiping. I think a lot of waterlesses have it's very oily and leaves some streaks sometimes. So afterwards, you have to come back and buff it down again. But that's the point, is to lift and clean, but you're spraying it on. It's also not highly dilutable. Most of the waterlesses out there that I've seen maybe are 4-to-1. If you were to use our Epic and try and make a rinseless, you have to use a ton of Epic. Where a rinseless wash to us is more a highly dilutable product, just like we're talking about with Absolute being 256-to-1. That's a little bit of product for a lot of gallons there.
Yep. So my feeling, the difference between the two is, we talk about polymers a lot, and there's lots of different kinds of polymers. And I think this is something that is misunderstood as well. Everyone assumes all polymers are the same, and they're not. There's different polymers that have different jobs. And so, I know that Epic has polymers in it, but they're kind of a little bit more, they lift the dirt, but there's some protection polymers in there that, is left behind. And so like Kyle was saying, those can become streaky in certain situations, like, full sun, the panel's too hot, just certain paints, if there's no protection on there, the waterless can tend to streak sometimes. So it's kind of I look at waterless wash, like Epic or, any of those. I think that those are more like emergency. So, I might keep those in my car for, if something happens on the road, I get tar or bird droppings, bugs, things like that. Those are good for emergency situations, or even car shows, things like that. The rinseless, in my opinion, is more just you are washing the vehicle. And so I use it in a bucket, all that good stuff. Now, the good part about Absolute and a lot of other waterless wash or rinseless washes on the market is that they can be diluted to a rinseless dilution, right? So all that means is that we can put it in a spray bottle and use it like we would a waterless wash, but it's almost better because we're not having those protection polymers left behind that might streak and things like that. So it's just a more versatile product than a waterless wash. So, and really, when we're talking about Absolute being diluted in a spray bottle, even though we might call it a waterless wash at that point, it's also the same thing as we mean when we say quick detailer, right? Those two things are doing the same thing. We're using them to lift dust from the surface, things like that. So, obviously now, instead of having maybe Epic in my car, I probably have Absolute because I can do more. So let's say something spills on the carpet, a coffee. You may not want to clean it up with Epic because you're going to be leaving all that stuff, the polymers and the waxes and stuff that's in Epic in the carpet. With Absolute, it's not going to leave anything behind. So Absolute's just more versatile. Now, Epic still totally has a place. I still use it all the time. I use Epic as my pre-spray because on some vehicles that are super dirty, because Epic has those extra polymers and different things, it sticks to the surface longer. So Absolute diluted as a waterless wash is much more, it's just going to drip and fall, right? Which sometimes is totally fine. Epic is so thick, it sticks to the surface. So it gives it a little bit more dwell time, if you will, on the surface. So for super dirty cars, I still like Epic for door jams, doing the roof. Sometimes when I wash my own vehicle and I don't necessarily want to get up on the roof and wash it, I just spray it with Epic and wipe it. And then I know I've left a little bit of something behind. And so I still use Epic all the time. But they are two totally different makeups. And like Kyle said, for instance, we get this question a lot, so I want to throw this in there, is if you were to try to use Epic, which I never have, so I can't speak to how well it works. If you were to try to use Epic as a rinseless wash, you would have to dilute, 4 ounces to 1 gallon is the dilution rate. So that's where it's different from Absolute. Absolute is a half an ounce to a gallon. So it's totally different. And I don't think it would work as good as Absolute, to be honest.
I thought it was even more than that. I thought it was like...
No, I'm pretty sure it's 4 ounces to a gallon. But if you think about it, if you're doing 2 gallons, you got to use 8 ounces of Epic.
Yeah, that's probably what we talked about. I thought it was 8 ounces.
Yeah, no, I think it would be 8 ounces per wash, which would, if you only used 2 gallons of water.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot. So they're totally different. And also most waterless washes that are on the market are going to be what we consider RTU, which is ready to use. So they are just ready to spray right out the bottle. So yeah, just totally different science, different makeup, different, case scenarios. Yeah. Perfect. All right. BJ says, I exclusively use your products with my mobile detailing business. Do you have a product similar to Goo Gone or that will give similar results to get off gum or things like that in the car?
Yeah, we have our tar remover. We also have a solvent that works really great for cleaning it. The thing is you'd have to purchase that from a distributor or solvents we can't ship. So which one have you used, Sydney, besides the tar remover?
So our tar remover is called Removal. And it's a great product. It works awesome on tar and things like that. Honestly, for gum though, just to specifically address the gum, since he said that, I would not use Removal inside the car because it will smell for quite a long time.
Was he talking about inside?
Well, he says to get gum off the car. Okay, so 2 things. So inside, I would not use. Inside, I would use a citrus-based degreaser, and then I would use your steamer to get, let it soak with some citrus-based degreaser, and then use your steamer to get gum out of carpet. If it's on the outside of the car, the Removal absolutely will work.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And still for me, even on the outside though, I would still kind of get it soaking in some Removal because you don't want to keep rubbing, and gum does take a minute. So I still use the steamer even on the outside on gum.
That would work too.
Yeah. Gum literally doesn't stand a chance to the steamer. So I still grab the steamer even on the outside as well, which we do get that a lot.
But whenever we talk about tar removers or cleaners like this, I always have to caution people, well, 2 things. If you're using your steamer inside, she's not meaning use the brush with the gum because that'll destroy your brush head.
No. Yeah.
Use the laser attachment where it shoots steam out and shoot it like sideways into a towel. And I have a product on board my van. It's like a tiny can of CO2 and you can spray the gum and it freezes it. And then you just flake it up and it breaks it. On the outside, using a steamer would be great because it's going to remove all the residue. If you go to clay or clay towel or clay bar and you go through that area where you use Removal or tar remover, you're going to instantly destroy your clay towel or your clay. So make sure you do your clay before or you clean that area after with like a paint prep.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the residue to clay down there and just it'll ruin your day, ruining a clay towel.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
These are all lessons that yours truly has learned
Yep.
by trial and error. So just don't do it. Don't destroy stuff like that.
Yep. But there is a great product that I think we never talk about that I do really, really love that does a lot of work. That is easy to get because it can be shipped, is our tree sap remover. So I don't know what's in that, but honestly, that is always my first go-to for anything like that. I had a car yesterday that had tar all down just one side of the car, and it's coated and all of that. And so I always start at like the least aggressive, and I mean, the tree sap remover took everything off. So it is just a good product that will start softening all that stuff up. So I always start at the tree sap remover, and I mean, it's called tree sap remover, but it actually does a lot. So when I have certain bugs that are just kind of baked in there, can't get them off, that always works for me. A lot of times like I say, the tar on the side, I don't have to go to the remove all, which it does work really well. It pretty much damages all your towels that you use it with, and you don't want to wash it with your other towels because then all your towels smell like it. So I really love the tree sap remover, and that's easy to get.
That was a good
Cool.
question.
Yes.
I got another question for you. Here we go.
Lots of haze.
Is this okay? Yeah.
Okay, Mike says, I've got a 2015 Sanibel 40-foot fifth wheel that gets sun faded on just the driver's side. I did a test spot for him to see tomorrow. He wants to coat it with Sol. How long will Sol hold up for the winter season in the Florida sun? That is all you, Kyle.
Well, I actually don't recommend using Sol. I would recommend you use Inspiration. I've had a lot better luck with Inspiration filling the pores of the fiberglass. It just seems to do better, especially because you already have existing sun fade. I look at it like, skin cancer on someone. You have, we'll have fiberglass cancer on this. Once you have to polish it often, and you want to protect it, I would go with Inspiration Classic. The other thing is there's no way to know how long it'll last. Will it hold up during the winter season? Yeah, I think it'll do a good job over the 6-month winter season. But that side already has some existing damage.
Yeah.
There's no way to stop it. Ceramic coatings were not meant to stop sun and oxidation on existing problems. They were meant to prevent that from the get-go. If you would have ceramic coated this RV from the get-go, it probably would have lasted a little bit longer. But as I've done my testing with many brands of ceramic coatings on that fiberglass, gel coat, FRP, laminate stuff, it just wasn't meant to last that long, and it doesn't have the UV inhibitors like clear coat and regular paint does. So the best results you're going to get would be do the polish, do a paint prep, and probably need to sell them on doing Inspiration Classic. Sol's just not going to last long enough. It's going to
Yep. And even if we just address Sol as a coating, I always try to tell my customers this, and I think it's really important, is Sol is honestly one of my favorite coatings. It is such an amazing product to use, and I love it. However, it has its limitations, like Kyle's saying, is, as a standalone coating in my shop, I treat it as an introductory coating to, a true long lasting ceramic. So we call it a 1 year. I don't really encourage my customers to use it as a standalone on their vehicle unless we are giving them the experience of having a coating, to see if, if they like it and they want to do it. But I don't do that very often. If it was something that was like a garage queen or a show car, absolutely I'd do Sol as a standalone, because that car is living like the most pampered life, right? It's totally out of the sun. It's not driving in rain. It's not going through car wash, things like that. But especially in this case, and so Sol, as a standalone, it is not, I would treat it how I would treat like a good sealant spray, honestly. And it is, because we don't know at what point it's going to wear off, because all of the factors are going to really determine how long it's going to last. If somebody goes through the car wash every week, Sol is not going to last a year. It's not. Abrasion, all of that is going to break it down. It is a lightweight coating. Anything that is rated for 1 year, 2 years is going to be a lightweight coating, meaning how many percentage of solids is in that coating. So it's great as a topper, and it will last the year or more with a base of Legend or Inspiration. But as a standalone, we really have no idea, because each vehicle is going to honestly be different. And we don't really know that point where it truly wears off. So in this case, where you have something that lives a harsh lifestyle, Sol is not going to be the choice. It's just not. And mainly the reason is because I'm assuming that you're going to be doing correction to the side of that fifth wheel. And what you don't want to have happen is put Sol on it. The customer has this expectation, and in 6 to 9 months, you're kind of back to that point where it's not looking good again. And so, you just don't want to put that on you as the detailer, and have him expect something that's probably not going to hold up.
So something interesting that happened the other day. I am in the process of moving all my stuff from my old storage unit to a new storage unit where I keep my trailer. I like my trailer being kept indoors. I have a 40-foot fifth wheel, and it's also coated. But while I was there was a gentleman that stopped by and we were chatting. I've seen his fifth wheel before. There's a local detailer that put it on his Instagram that he ceramic coated the front cap, because the RV is kept like in an RV port, but the front sticks out. And we were talking about it, and I said, yeah, I've seen your RV before. I saw, a friend that ceramic coated it. I said, coating didn't last, did it? He goes, no, it didn't. What do I do? I said, get your RV out of the sun. I said, look how great the back of it looks and the side looks. He goes, yeah, it's just too long though. I said, well, you're going to have to figure out something, because these gray, these tan, these white, newer RVs aren't built with the same type of fiberglass gel coat that they used to be built in the early 2000s, where you could sand them and buff them and go to town on them. Like it was like a boat. This stuff is cheap. This laminate stuff, it really is. It's lightweight. It literally has a very, very little bit of substrate. The rest is plywood behind it. That's why they call it FRP, fiberglass backed plastic. And it's just not going to hold up. Yeah. So, this guy recoated it and polished it. And I said, it's not going to stop it. I've already tested this stuff. There's no amount of coating in the world that's going to stop this. And I would love to, there's a new coating I want to try on it, but you're not going to stop that. You got to get it out of the sun. That's the only answer I can give to people. I know you're in Florida. I don't know if they live in it, but maybe they want to think about building some sort of RV port for it. So cool. All right. Well, I hope that answers your questions. If you have more, send us more in or hit me up on Instagram.
Yep. Okay. So next up, Pristine says, I may have missed it. I just jumped on, nor has he read the instructions yet. Warm or cold water for the new Rinseless? I think either. Mine comes out warm, but I think, if you can only have access to cold water, you're going to be fine. I mean, I like warm because I don't like my hands to be cold, but
especially because you live in a climate that can get cold. So for me, there's very few times I'm going to need warm water.
Right. Yeah. I mostly ask to see if the mixture blends best with cold or hot water buckets. I think I've used it always. I've never, it's meant to dilute with water. So I don't think the temperature of the water matters. I've used it with both cold and hot.
Yeah, it's going to be just a
hot
preference.
And cold, and it's fine either way. All right. Jay says, am I the only one that has this playing in their shop while they work? Love the products. Thanks, Jay. We appreciate
Thanks.
that.
Where's Jay from? I want to know where Jay's from when he
Good
gets a
question.
chance.
Yeah, Jay, let us know where you're from. So I'll just give a little plug real fast for everybody that's here. We do upload, these obviously upload to our YouTube, but we have a playlist where you can go back and listen to any of the old ones. And we try to, if it coincided with like a product release, we try to put that in the title also. So, if you ever want to go back and listen, you certainly can. And we are still working on, which I hopefully will be in the next, I'm going to say by the end of the year, we will have all the old episodes on a podcast so that you can just listen to them through, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, whatever platform you use. But we are working on that, and that will make it easier to go back and listen to the old episodes, which, they all have great questions and super helpful answers. So kind of fun. So thanks, Jay.
Let's see. Mike had some follow-up comments on his
Okay,
RV.
so he says, I never sell on month or years. I educate them on the maintenance and the environment that it's in. And then he asks, is $75 per foot for a one-step and inspiration okay? He's the kind of guy that's willing to do it yearly if he likes the outcome. So I'll address the first part and then Kyle could take the second part. So absolutely, I'm glad that you said this because this is what I do with my customers. So, and everybody at PNS, we hate putting a time on our coatings. We honestly do, but we know that the industry demands it. So, but when I personally am talking to my customers about coatings and we're choosing which one they want and kind of going through pricing and stuff, I really try to keep the years out of it. I will say that an average would be that inspiration would last 3 years and an average would be legend should last 5 years. But then I literally exactly what you do is I say, but this car, it's your work car, it's your daily driver, you park downtown, in the sun, and I go through how that car lives its life. And then I say, so I think we'll get about this much time. And then I do also use that opportunity to say, I think we'll get 2 years out of inspiration. Now, if you make sure you stay on the maintenance and you bring it into me, once a year for maintenance, I think we can get you to 3.5, maybe 4 years. So I do take that opportunity to let them know that their, side commitment of making sure that they're maintaining it does also affect the outcome of how long the coating is going to last. So absolutely, I think that's great. I always address specifically with the customer how they're driving it, the environment that they live in, however that car lives, if they go through the car wash, I always bring those things up because it sets a better expectation for the customer. I never just blanket say it's a 5-year coating for sure. So I love that. So then Kyle, on the price.
Yeah, I'll agree with Sydney on that, especially on RVs that are fiberglass. I don't give an expectation of longevity. It's almost worse. It's totally worse than like trying to do a car because you sit outside all the time and not all RVs are made the same. I will say that your prices, if it's not bad. It's depends on how long the one step takes. Because I've done one steps that I've done on the side of an RV. One side of an RV took me 2 hours. I've done one steps where that took me all day to do one side of an RV. Even though you're using one pad, one product, and a polisher, how big of a pain in the butt is that one step? It really shouldn't be that difficult to do it. So, you're talking about $3,000 if it's a 40-foot RV. I don't know if you're just charging for one side or if you're going to coat the whole coach, but yeah, $3,000. If you can do that in a day and a half, if you have help, that's pretty good money. If it's going to take you 3 days, it may need to charge a little bit more. It depends on what your daily rate is. I don't know your business. I don't know how often you're doing RVs. I know that in certain areas like Florida or areas where people, like you said, snowbirds, they're used to getting kind of a volume, cheaper price at some of these resorts. I deal with that often here in Southern California where people are like, oh, I can get it way cheaper if I drive, 2 hours away to Quartzsite. I'm like, okay, well then drive to Quartzsite because this is my price here. You know, you want to spend that much fuel and time, go for it. But yeah, it's relative to your area, and if you feel that it's a good price. This is what when we were at the Mobile Tech Expo, Sydney and I both put on I guess classes, and I did one about RV pricing. What I do is I look at the RV being 40 feet. I look at how much time it's going to take me, how much I want to make from that, or what I could make doing other things. And I figure that price out, and then I reverse engineer the price to fit the footage. Because if you could go wash, clay, and polish and ceramic coat 4 cars at $1,000 each and do 4 of those cars in 2 days, why would you spend 2 days to make $3,000? You got to figure out the opportunity cost there. So, hey, you know, Quartzsite, it's volume pricing, man. Bang it out. I see that, Joe. That's pretty cool. But yeah, you just got to figure out your pricing and what your opportunity cost is.
Yep.
But it's a fair price. Yeah, cool.
Looking for the next one. I had it and I just lost it. Here we go.
There was a follow-up on there I saw earlier. Okay.
All right. Joshua, do you think PPS OffRoad line will try to make a cleaner for polycarbonate since most of the off-road vehicles have plastic windshields and scratch super easy?
I don't think we're going to get that into those types of specifics. We already have polishes that work well on those plexi and polycarbonate windscreens. It's the off-road line was not intended to be for only professional detailers. It was intended to be a retail product for the average consumer off-roader, Jeep owner to utilize. And so we're not going to get into those things. We probably will bring out some other products in the future in that line. But what I would recommend, and I've done this many times on my own RZR and on people that have like Jeeps or classic cars, and they have those kind of clear rubber plastic windows, a very, very soft finishing pad, and using a polish like Kyle's Boat and RV Restore. Very little pressure and a lot of passes will clean up those types of windscreens. I've done that on boats for years, where I've cut, polished, and restored. I mean, you can restore it. It's just about keeping the heat down, and taking your time. I did I think it was an Eliminator boat a few months ago, where I spent hours on just the 2 windscreens on this boat, and it totally cleared them up except for the stress cracks that were already there. So if you want to do that, cut and polish, you could utilize a nice pad with some ego maker. Actually, I wonder if full throttle would work really well. I think it would. And then finish it out with Kyle's Boat and RV Restore.
Yeah. For sure. The pad, you just want a really soft pad and slow. Yep. I do like Kyle's though for polycarbonate. It's my favorite too. All right. Handy Danny says, good morning. Need advice on headlights. I have both the compound and the polish, and I use RTU glass cleaner first and then compound followed by the polish. Is that proper? And is this going to last? Do you want to take this one, Kyle, since you just did a headlight coating class, or do you want me to take it?
Yeah, take it for a second.
Okay. So headlights. So if you are restoring headlights, so they are in a state where you have felt like you need to use compound and polish. One of the biggest missteps in headlight restoration is not sealing them. So when we, and this is probably more if you're using sandpaper, this is going to be more of a problem, because when you use sandpaper, you're actually removing the factory clear coating, or UV coating on the headlights. So if you remove that coating completely, which could also be completely removed through compound, you are leaving that headlight even more susceptible to having the UV damage reoccur and reoccur even faster. This is even similar to what we're talking about on the RVs. So definitely you want to start with a very clean headlight. You want to make sure you've washed the vehicle, wiped it down, and then you can compound, polish, and then clean them up again. But then you really need to seal them. So, we recommend we have the Lucid in the Inspiration line, which is a headlight coating. And so you just want to use a coating to seal them. Now, that it does not mean that that's going to last forever. It's just going to prolong those results that you got with the compound and polish. So, but what you definitely don't want to do is ever, compound and polish the headlights and then just leave them bare. And really same as paint also. They're going to age in the sun. It's just that headlights do it faster, but it's kind of the same as with paint. You don't want to use compound and polish and then no protection of any kind. So, you could certainly, use like a SiO2 spray or something like that. But again, we have no idea how long that's going to last. It might only last a couple weeks. And there's factors here too. There's a million different kinds of headlights. So we can't even give a blanket answer for how long it's going to last because, headlights on an F-150 might be completely different than what's on a Porsche and completely different than, and the age of the car. There's, again, so many factors. So just make sure you always, restore the headlight and then we recommend a coating in this case, just to seal up the headlight and protect it as best you can. But I know for me personally, on a not new vehicle, on a brand new vehicle, I do feel like I'm getting several years out of the coating because they haven't been, abraded. On headlight restorations with a coating, I still suggest reapplying the coating once a year. I do. I think that there's going to come a point where it's going to wear out and then you're back to doing compound. And if once a year you can just do a quick buzz over that headlight with polish and reapply the coating, then you're going to be good. So.
Yeah, sorry. My appointment is sending me some confusing text messages. And I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah, I agree. You got to protect the headlights. If they're still in great shape, another good thing, what I actually am going to do in my own van soon, I want to restore my headlights and then I want to put PPF over it. I want to do one headlight with PPF and the other one with Lucid and see the results. I always like testing things on my own stuff. I've had great luck with PPF on my headlights on my truck. So we're going to see how that goes. But yeah, protect them somehow, and you may have to completely sand them down if that. PPF is paint protection film. So like clear bra is what I'm referring to.
Yep. So he said he didn't sand them, but he used Bead Maker. So Bead Maker is going to be fine. If it was like your personal vehicle, as long as you applied it every couple of weeks, you're kind of fine until you can get some coating. I do want to bring up, so Michael Hill is in the chat and he is an expert on coatings and all of that. So he says PPF all the way on headlights. And he also mentioned earlier that he wishes that everybody would totally get rid of the year time thing on coating. So we will always, do our best to try to get rid of that whole year stigma on the coatings. Cause I know it drives me crazy too, Michael. There's just too many factors and it's going to be different. So cool. Oh, wow. 22-year-old factory Mazda headlights. Yeah. You're going to want some coating on those.
Yeah.
For sure. All right.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Here's one.
Jason says, would Lucid work on the windscreen?
Yeah, we'll work on it if you want to coat that. If it's not glass, if it's the polycarbonate, yeah, it will work.
Yeah.
You help it keep it cleaner. It's not going to have the same effect because, Lucid is more for UV protection, but it's still going to, make the dirt easier to wipe off and it'll be harder than that surface. So hopefully it'll keep the marring down.
Mhm. Yeah, it should. I mean, it'll provide, the UV protection, the easier cleaning, all of that. One thing that we do want to point out to make sure is that it will not fill in any. It won't smooth out any of those scratches or anything like that. So it won't fill any of that kind of stuff. But it would absolutely protect it. And then just because we mentioned, don't use Lucid on glass. It does not work that great. You could probably use it on glass headlights, but don't put it on glass. It's too thick for that. So I've tried that. It didn't work out very well. Just, yeah, not the right formula. Okay, so it does well on poly. We do race screens with it. Cool.
All these Facebook users, I always want to know who it is. You got more
I know.
Facebook.
Well,
I don't know who it is.
they're in our
PNS storefront?
PNS storefront group.
Oh,
Well, thank you, whoever said that.
I'll
My
tell
hair
you,
is
I'm
like
looking
super
it up.
a mess today.
Oh, it's Uni.
Oh,
oh.
thanks, Uni. That's so nice. Oh, Chris, you know what? I saw a message way back that I really do want to address. Somebody asked about dressed. It was
They
way
did?
back early.
Let's see if I can find it.
Fred, I didn't
Yeah,
see
it
that
was.
one at all.
It was early on, and it was actually a good question. They asked about that they hadn't heard much about dress since it was released, and they wanted to know about tire dressings. And we actually got this question a lot this week on Instagram, so I would love to talk about that.
And I had an Instagram question that someone mentioned last night.
I think it started out like, I haven't seen a lot about dressed. Do you guys use it?
Heck yeah, I use dressed.
You see it? If
There's
not,
a
I'll just start
guy-
talking about it. So it was a question I saw earlier. It
Yeah,
said,
I do see it. It is.
Perfect. Okay, so Jay, I was just thinking about that. I was like, oh, I want to go back to that. So haven't heard too much about dressed tire dressing since the launch. Are you still using it? What's the new favorite? I have dressed Odyssey, Full Send, and I enjoy them all. So I absolutely still use dressed. I didn't realize that I don't talk about it. I feel like I do, but I think I talk about it in person a lot. So I do love dressed, but there's a couple caveats here. So if you are trying to switch between dressed and another dressing, you're probably not going to like it. I used dressed on 2 of my personal vehicles exclusively. So what that means is because it's a non-silicone based dressing, you need to not switch between the 2. So you need to use undressed, totally strip the tire. And honestly, if you are somebody that it has a bunch of, dressing on it before, you need to strip it a couple times. And then once you switch to dressed, you kind of have to be committed to that. So I have several customers that, maybe they got a new car and they started coming in, and right from the beginning, we started using dressed. And so I have those customers marked down that we only use dressed on their cars. They look fantastic. My personal vehicle, I used to only use dynamic, and then I got new tires. What was that? Maybe 3-4 months ago. I think in June I got new tires. And so right when I got brand new tires, I didn't put anything on them, washed them with undressed, and have only used dressed since. And my tires always look amazing. I love them. But if you are trying to switch between 2 dressings on the same vehicle, you will not like undressed or dressed. I'm sorry. You won't like dressed because it won't really stay. It won't level out like it's supposed to. It's just not going to behave like it's supposed to. So for me, I notice on my own vehicle, I get about 4 or 5 days where the tires look really, really good. And then just on my own personal vehicle, it's the brake dust ends up migrating its way out to the tire, but it looks great and it's so easy to use. And I love the way that it's just a little bit shiny, but not like glazed donut at all. It's just got a really nice sheen. It levels out really nice on its own. I apply it with a brush. So I really love dressed. The only time that I've heard problems with it is, again, when the tire's not perfectly clean, you don't have all the silicones off, and when people are just trying to go back and forth. It does not work. It doesn't. So I love dressed. And I just have a couple customers that I use it on because we started with that. Then as far as the other dressings, my favorite, I like a lot of them, but still my favorite is still Wipe and Shine. That is still the one that, it just looks amazing. It's my favorite look. It's not always the easiest to put on because it's gel based. I think I've mentioned this before. All of my coated cars, when they get coated, they get wipe and shine, because then I know there's no silicones being aerosolized in the air at all in my shop. Because it doesn't even matter if you've sprayed them, they're kind of floating around in the air. And if you have a fan going or anything, they're still eventually making their way to the paint. So coating cars only get wipe and shine. And then I do still really love Odyssey. I use Odyssey most on like 4-wheel drives, because I end up coating, or, you know, I spray it with an air gun, and I do like the fender wells and stuff. Love Full Send, of course. And so, I mean, I love a lot of them, but I would say the two most used are wipe and shine and Dressed. And then I still have Dynamic, so I use that a lot.
What was the last part? What was that you said?
I whispered I still have Dynamic, so I still use that.
Yeah, me too. I have like 2.5 gallons still.
Yeah. Yep. I have two.
I
just opened two. Oh, that's funny. So they've been asking if Dynamic is coming back. Might as well bring it back if everybody doesn't mind paying $100 for a good dressing. So we're just hopeful that someday it will come back. I do feel like, you know, just kind of listening on the back end, you know, some things are starting to come back and some things are starting to level out. You know, the biggest problem with Dynamic was the sheer amount of silicone that goes into that dressing and the cost that it would be. And, you know, a couple months ago, you know, PNS could have bought that much silicone and they could have sold Dynamic, but it would have been well over $100 a gallon, well over like a couple $100. So I think, you know, probably if we can get it back down to about $100 a gallon, because it used to be that, you know, that is still a really good value at, you know, the 4-to-1 dilution. That makes 40 pints for a gallon. So, you know, that's still a really good price, even at $100 a gallon. So I think when we get close to there, we might be able to beg Dave to.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Like a triumphant return of Dynamic.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that would be cool. Like everyone would, I mean, you don't know what you're missing until it's gone.
Right. Yeah. And it was funny this weekend at the Sacramento car show at the polishing school. There was a detailer out back detailing a car, and he was using Dynamic. And so everybody saw it. So then it started this whole Dynamic discussion. And it was funny because Chad and I were talking about Dynamic, and he was kind of giving Bob a bad time, like, you're doing the Taco Bell Mexican pizza thing, you know, like giving it to everybody, making them love it, then taking it away and all of that. And I was just like, well, we just don't want to go McRib, you know, we don't want to like give it back, have to take it away, give it back, have to take it away.
Yeah.
So funny, we had this whole discussion about Dynamic this weekend, but yes, we're all hoping that it comes back. Christopher was with us this weekend.
We'll have to bring it up in a meeting one of these days.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So Handy Danny says ultra coat on painted factory wheels. So this ultra coat thing always confuses me. So there's ultra coat polish and ultra coat paint sealant. He must be talking about the paint sealant.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's looking to polish them to bring them back. Yes.
Yeah.
If you're looking to protect them, I would probably go to Inspiration and coat them.
Yeah.
Higher temperature protection.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the thing with, you know, any waxes or sealants on wheels is just the sheer temperature is going to wear out that.
You're going to put that much time and effort and work into putting on a sealant, just sell them on a coating.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would just mist them with some bead maker, wipe them out, and be done.
Yeah.
Because anything between there is just not going to last very long.
Yeah. Yeah. He says it's
Ceramic
29 black
do it.
Sport wheel.
Use Inspiration Classic.
Yeah, use Inspiration. I mean, if you're truly wanting to provide protection, just use Inspiration. Again, like, and I'm so weird about that whole like, you know, with sealants and stuff is you don't know the point that it wears off, you know, so you're just going about life. And it's kind of like, you know, there's so many things like just maintenance things, even in our homes, you know, like the air filter in our HVAC system. We don't know when it's really actually full. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things, like it's so variable, like you don't really know. And so you don't want to be just going about life on your wheels thinking that they're totally protected. And then, you know, one day something happens, you know, and so you just want to be either protect them, or if it's your car, spray them with a bead maker every time you.
Well, that's why I always tell people why coatings are so great and why like Inspiration Classic is like my best value, because it's not crazy expensive for me to do it.
Yeah.
It lasts for years, you know, 2 to 3 years.
Yep.
But the good thing is everyone's so busy. Everyone forgets to take care of their vehicles.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have people that'll say, hey, I need a wash and wax. It's been a year. And I'm like, well, what's been on your paint for the last 9 months? Nothing. So let's do a coating next time. Oh, you know, I said, well, if you want to prepay for, you know, me to come out and wash and wax it 4 times, I'll just throw the coating in.
Yep.
And we'll just do the coating instead, because you're not going to go without protection.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, okay, I get what you're saying. You know, they don't really understand. They, for some reason, and I blame New Finish. We don't talk about product names. I blame all this on New Finish. The once a year car polish, my ass. I am so tired of that. They screwed everyone up in the head and made it look like you only needed if you look at New Finish's bottle, read it. It has no protection.
Yep.
So, yeah, you could polish once a year, but you got to protect it more often, guys.
Yeah.
You know, New Finish, Turtle Wax, all that great stuff. But no one knew how long it lasts. Like you were saying, back to your point, you didn't know when it failed.
Yep.
And you, me, Chris, Rennie, Bob, Dave, and most detailers on here know when your product is failing, because we wash our own cars. We see it.
Yep.
Our customers have no idea.
Yeah.
They don't.
And here's the deal too. If it's a customer that you see often, because I didn't really necessarily believe in wheel coatings a couple years ago. And so here's something that you can do if it's a car that you see often, is here's what I would do. I would do one wheel with Inspiration, and I do the other wheel with a sealant, and pay attention when it comes back for you to clean it. And I promise you, you'll have your answer at that moment.
Yeah.
You will have your answer when you go to clean the wheels.
I've finally coated a fender for someone before because they didn't believe in the coating. And then they were like, okay, let's do the whole car.
Yep.
You know, so, so how do you charge?
Yeah. What's a good average price for coating a wheel?
Wheel fate. I go by how complicated the wheels are, and sometimes by what they're made of. If there are a lot of spokes and they're black powder coat and I'm just doing the faces, $75 a wheel. I mean, you're $300 to do all of them. If they're not very complicated, you know, really easy to wipe on, wipe off the prep, and you're doing the faces, I'd probably be as low as like $50. If I'm doing the barrels, if I could reach back there, or, you know, I usually don't take wheels off, but sometimes if I'm at my tent guy's shop, he has a lift, we'll lift it up and we'll just get under the car and just stick our hand in there and turn the wheel. I'm usually about $100 a wheel to coat barrel, caliper, wheel faces. I do like to airbrush and get in around the lug nuts and any of those little tight spots. I really think it's important to coat around the lug nuts, both sides, because that's usually where it's the worst.
That's the
Brake
hardest.
buildup. So yeah, $50 to $100 depending. I know some guys charge more if you're going to pull the wheels off and polish them and do all that fun stuff. And I know some guys probably charge less, and that's okay. But I've found good value there for me, mid $100.
Yeah. And for me, it's going to depend on, you know, are we coating the whole car? If it's part of the coating job, then it's obviously significantly less. If it's just doing standalone, you know, on top of a full detail, then it's, you know, more like, you know, $50 a wheel. I do have a lot of people that bring brand new wheels that have not even been installed yet. So just because I do stay in really good communication with my customers. And, you know, I have a lot of customers that do a lot of customization on their vehicles. And so if somebody tells me they've ordered new wheels, I absolutely pitch, you know, let's coat the wheels before they even get mounted to tires or to the vehicle. So I do that a lot. And usually I'll just go to them. I don't make them drag the wheels over here. And so, you know, then even then it's a little bit less because it's so easy. They're brand new.
Yep.
You're not polishing anything. You're not cleaning anything. You're just paint prepping and coating. So usually for those, you know, $40 a wheel, maybe if they're off and they're brand new. And then, yeah, like right about 50 or so. And if they're bad, you know, maybe like 75. And then if it's with the coating job, I just usually, you know, I have a set price for my coatings that, you know, for that vehicle. And I just usually tell them that I've thrown that in, that's included. Unless they're super bad, you know, then I would add more, but I like to just give one price. For me, because we maintain a lot of the cars, I want the wheels coated. So I usually don't price that stuff out within the coating. I just say, here's your price. And in here, we do the window, the wheels, you know, because I want everything coated, because it doesn't make any sense to me that, you know, you're maintaining the car and you have everything is so easy to clean except the windshield. So I just do everything so that it's easy.
Well, let's take our any last questions. And
we have one
ready to
more
work.
that I think is good, is the Iron Buster, Brake Buster one. And good morning, Gabriel. Thanks for joining us. He told me he was going to be a little late
like
today.
really bright.
Just on one shoulder.
Well, it looks
Um,
cloudy to me.
Chris, can you bring
Where
up
did-
Edwards?
Where did you see that one?
It's just the fourth one down. It's from YouTube. It says from Edward, if you use Iron Buster and Brake Buster to clean wheels, which one goes first?
This is weird. I don't have that one.
Yeah,
Iron
we'll just read
Buster.
it today.
Oh yeah, so they're from YouTube. So Edward, you do Iron Buster first. So because you want it to start breaking down the iron, and then you can literally spray Brake Buster right over it. Works awesome. The other thing you can do if you're using an IK sprayer is you can mix the two. That works really well too. But if I'm just doing it neat, which is what I do most of the time, is I spray the Iron Buster first, let that start working, because you don't want a barrier between the Iron Buster and the, you know, the iron that you're trying to get off. So I spray Iron Buster first, let it start doing its thing. And then I don't even scrub it. I spray the Brake Buster right over it after like a minute and let it start, doing its thing. It works awesome. Works awesome. And then one just came in that I would like to answer. And Chris, maybe you can't see it. It says, oh yeah, you can. Okay. So best
That one I
products.
can see, but I can't see the other one. It's weird.
That's weird. I wonder, is it from a different, I don't know if they're from different YouTube channels either.
I don't know. I saw this. Oh,
So best
That's weird,
products
too.
and process for rinseless wheel cleaning. So we got this one on Instagram a lot this week too. So because, you know, I primarily do rinseless in my shop. And so I would say 90% of the wheels and tires, I still clean traditionally because I'm in my shop and I have access to it. So I still use a pressure washer on the wheels and tires. Now, if you are mobile or you have to be completely rinseless, I do this a lot and it works fine for me. So I will still use Brake Buster. And then I've got, you know, my bucket. And so then in this case, I wash my wheels last. If I'm needing to use my bucket of water of Absolute. So then I just have, you know, a wheel and tire brush, and I will do the whole thing with Brake Buster and then scrub it with the brush. And then I'm kind of just, I don't know if this is going to make sense, but you're kind of using a lot of the water on the brush to rinse the wheel. So if you keep enough of the water in the brush, it's going to rinse away the Brake Buster really easy. You know, you're not probably going to get the barrels super clean, which is probably fine if you're literally just doing a rinseless wash. And then, you know, so I'm able to get all the Brake Buster totally rinsed away just using my bucket. The reason I do the wheels last in that scenario is because you're obviously going to get a lot of brake dust in your bucket of Absolute. Usually I do wheels and tires first. If I'm using my pressure washer, I do them last if I'm relying on doing only rinseless. And then you just want to dry them. And usually, you know, I always do a final wipe on the wheels, and that usually gets off any residue. So that's how I would do it, rinseless. Do you have any different way? Hi, the dog is here.
I've just done the same thing with Brake Buster, where we've sprayed Brake Buster, done it, and then if I was in someone's garage, I usually just put towels around on the ground, and I've just used like an IK and sprayed the Rinseless.
I know William's not here, but
Piper.
There's Piper. She's like, what in the heck?
Scared her away, huh?
Yep. She's like, get off. And then the other thing you can do too is if you have your Absolute in your IK Pro 12 in the big pump sprayer, you can use that and just keep dousing it too. And that, if you really needed to, rinse your wheel and tire, you could certainly do that as well. Yeah, Piper. And look, William's not here. He's the one that wanted her to be on today's show.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I didn't see William at all, man. What's up with him?
Yep.
And Richard, your fan club, my fan club. What the heck?
I know. Where are they all today? So I tried Brake Buster at the correct dilution ratio in my new IK sprayer and had no luck. The IKs can be a little bit frustrating. So I do it 5-to-1. And that works great for me, but it does, I don't, how do I say this? I have to change the filter every single time I use my IK. The only way that I can run the IK is if it's with Absolute, and that's because Absolute like neutralizes my water, so then it doesn't clog up my filter. But any other time I'm using, even when I use distilled water and the Brake Buster in my IK, it clogs up my filter. I'm not sure what the deal is, but so if it was brand new, it may have just been a setting on your IK, because it really should have worked fine. And 5-to-1 is great. I mean, super foamy, it's great. Somehow we're going to need Jamie the cleaner to make a video on how to just consistently use your IK sprayer, because his always works perfect. I've watched his videos and I'm like, mine does not look like that.
Yeah.
So, I dilute my Brake Buster, but how much Iron Buster are you adding to the Brake Buster? So clarification. So if I'm doing them neat, both Iron Buster and Brake Buster are full strength. If I'm doing them out of a spray bottle, in the Iron Buster, in the IK sprayer, if I mix them in my IK Pro 12, I want to say it's about a gallon of water and probably 2 cups of Brake Buster, and then like a cup of Iron Buster, I think is the dilution I do. And that works really well. I think that's what I do. That sounds about right. So it's about half the Iron Buster is Brake Buster.
Cool.
But if you're using a spray bottle, use them both straight.
That was a fast speed round.
Yep.
Got a lot of questions done. Yes, Hans. She wants a cookie.
Yeah.
So do I.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. She's
Well,
like, you've been here forever. The cat's next to me too, but I'm not going to show her.
No, nothing in 2 weeks. Just Bead Maker and coffee.
Yep.
What's up, Christian Parker? Good morning.
Good morning, Christian. Yeah. So we are, how many weeks are we now from SEMA? We're not very far. Do we have one more?
We have 2 more Bead Maker and coffees.
I think we're like 5 weeks from, I think we're like 5 weeks from SEMA, that's crazy. So
yeah.
Cool. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Always, again, feel free to send us any messages you have on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, however you need, TikTok. If it's really good questions, we'll save it. And I have a coating to do today.
Yeah, I have some water spots to go clean off of a black Yukon. So thank you so much, Chris, as
All right.
always.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.